just know that sometimes the moment you see it, it never controls you again. No one talks about this stage of healing, where you're doing everything right and yet your life keeps falling apart. You journal, manifest, work hard, yet success, love, peace, they all seem to run away from you. Turns out, a part of you already knows why. I thought I was pretty self-aware until I realized there was an entire being inside of me, an entire version of me that I myself had imprisoned. And that version was quietly controlling my own narrative. It was controlling my love life, my choices, my money. And today I'm gonna help you meet yours. It's the reason why your efforts aren't turning into results. Why patterns repeat with different people but the same pain. And also why your manifestation simply cannot work when the unconscious resists. This version is the reason why you can love different people throughout your life, but they all make you feel the exact same way, just in a different font. This version is your shadow self. It's the part of you that you buried, but it didn't disappear. It simply went into the deep, dark dungeons of your subconscious mind and started running the show. Firstly, there is your childhood conditioning. When we're born, we don't have a lot of fears, we don't have a lot of judgment. But as we grow and we see from our environment how people are reacting to certain desires we hold, to certain emotions, to certain things, we start forming associations and beliefs about them. In the smallest way, we learn that spiders are scary or crying is bad. And as we grow, these beliefs also get more advanced, like love is hard to find or money is hard to make. Then we have our masks. We as social creatures always have this innate desire to fit in and be socially acceptable. It was quite literally required for survival back in the day. So we achieved that by learning to put this mask on. This mask hides every part of us, every aspect of us, everything about us that we feel will separate us or isolate us from others. And as we grow, we forget about this mask. We even forget we have this on. And we start to believe that this persona is our actual self. But then what happens to our true self? It resurfaces every now and then, and often in the most unfortunate times. But we bury it once more. Have you ever seen someone explode completely out of character and then say, I don't know what got into me? That wasn't random. That was their shadow. That self you bury, full of emotions and desires that make you you, that's your shadow self. It runs the show, but from the shadows. Which is why it is so important to shine a light on it, because otherwise you're just a puppet doing everything unconsciously and then calling it fate. The entire point of shadow work is to figure out who you truly are before the world tells you who you need to be. All aspects of you, your individuality in all its glory. Because if you continue hiding, there's going to be issues when your conscious self wants something that your shadow self completely rejects and resists. And that resistance creates sabotage, which is why awareness is the first step to freedom. Now, a lot of people still think that if it's darkness, why let it out? Won't it hurt me? So let me clear it out. Shadow work is not dark. In fact, here's what actually happens once you start acknowledging and accepting your shadow self. You're able to laugh at yourself. You're more authentic and you don't mind presenting your true opinions. You don't get offended or triggered easily. You are more open and compassionate to the feelings and emotions of other people. You are more aware and less judgmental of your own negative traits and can actually work through them instead of being ashamed of them, judging them, and then shutting them down and avoiding them. You're not afraid of challenges and can actually transform with every adversity. You can handle conflicts and difference of opinions without taking it personally or getting offended. You're far more cautious of your own boundaries and aware of your needs. You don't judge your emotions, instead you learn to sit with them and eventually release them. Until you shine a light on the shadow self, you're just calling the unconscious choices destiny. Remember, you don't become darker by doing your shadow work. If anything, you become whole. Now, there's many ways to bring this shadow self to light, but I'm gonna be honest with you, it's never easy. Mostly because we've spent so long hiding these parts of ourselves that it feels almost threatening to let them out once again. These practices require you to have an open heart and the ability to go beyond ignorance. When I started doing it, a part of me wanted to deny everything about me that was socially wrong or unacceptable. And some of these traits were as harmless as liking money and wanting fame. It took me a long time to let these parts of me come out and a little more to show them acceptance and love. Before I give you shadow work questions to answer, I first want you to know how to deal with certain emotions that might come up while you're doing the work. I am not a psychologist, but all of this comes from my own experience and it's worked wonders for me. But if at any point you feel like it's being too much for you, check in with a therapist and take a break. Remember, you're not supposed to become a new person in just one day. You cannot rush this process. But also remember, these questions are never going to be easy to answer and you'll never feel fully ready. They'll always require introspection. But don't worry, I will also tell you an easy way to start that will open you up to some more hard to answer questions, but more on that later. So, when difficult emotions arise while you're doing the work, first of all, stop. Stop answering, but don't go away until the emotion is too much to bear. Instead, sit with this emotion while it's tolerable and no distractions at all, which means no phone calls, no texting your friend, no TV in the background, no music, and no running to smoke or drink or whatever your coping mechanism is. Instead, sit as you are, place one hand on your heart, the other hand on your lower belly, and take a deep breath. Do not abandon yourself when things get difficult. This will help you relax your body and also tell your brain that you are safe. This moment in the present is safe. A lot of these questions will also bring up memories from the past that might be upsetting because even if you yourself have moved on or hidden the memories, your body still remembers, and once you recall them, your body brings the emotions as well. So it's important to calm your body down with deep breathing and other grounding techniques that bring you back to the present. Next, after these questions, you might feel very heavy-hearted, so let it out. Cry. Do not extend that emotion or spiral by listening to more sad music or doing more things that make you even sadder. Instead, cry it out and then do something to bring your energy back into a balance. You can do that by going for a walk, dancing to your favorite song, or catching up with your loved ones. Emotions have this tendency to keep collecting more supporting data to increase the intensity of that emotion. So like when you're happy, you want to do more things that make you happy. And when you're sad, you're going to want to do more things that make you sad. The point here is not to fall for that trap. You're allowed to cry it out, but then you need to bring your energy back to balance. You cannot spiral here. There will be moments throughout your work where you will feel angry at yourself or at your past mistakes. It is important to show yourself compassion and remember you did the best with what you knew. A lot of people stay stuck here because they blame themselves for everything that went wrong in their lives. They feel like they could have controlled the situation or done things differently, but you have to understand you're saying that now after all the experience life has given you. Yes, you could have done things differently if it were happening right now, but being mad at your past self is like being mad at a second grader for not getting good grades on the SATs. This part, however, is easier said than done. I often used to feel so disappointed and mad at myself. It was hard to forgive myself when I knew that a single change back in the day could have changed the entire trajectory of my life. So I know it's difficult, but it's not impossible. What I need you to do is when you're doing this work, keep a photo of your childhood self in front of you wherever you can see it. And just remember that every single time you blame your past, you're blaming this kid. It will help you put things into more perspective and also be more compassionate. You might feel mad at yourself for the life you've led so far, but you need to remember that this past self you blame, she was the one who made all the right moves despite how she was feeling. Often the version that you hate and you blame is also the version that the world hated and blamed. You owe it to her and to yourself to give her compassion and give her love and recognize her worth because the world did not. Once you do that and you show her love, that's when things begin to change. That's when you forgive yourself and you get the closure that you've always been looking for. A lot of shame comes from our own negative self-talk about our own selves, about our own struggles. The version of you that you're angry at was actually the strongest version you've ever been. Lastly, after you're done, give yourself a long, warm hug. You did something very brave that most people never bother to do and run away from their entire lives. They run away from parts of their own psyche, parts of their own selves, but not you. So what you've done, no matter how slow or how well, you still did it. You did something that is an incredible show of self-love and growth. So tell yourself you're proud of yourself. You can also do a little gratitude journaling to bring yourself back to the present and bring your energy back up and give yourself a well-earned hug. Not that you ever have to earn a hug from yourself. Great, now that we know how to deal with the discomfort that's gonna be there, let's begin the actual work. We're gonna start with beginner shadow work. This is what I call the 5 whys technique. If you've never done shadow work or you've tried it but you got overwhelmed by the intensity of the questions, this is where you need to start. Ask yourself the following questions. What causes an emotional reaction within you? Is there a pattern within how you react to certain people or their traits? Are there certain qualities that you like or hate in others? This will help you understand what you might be suppressing about your own needs. To help you figure out even further, note down the incident, the emotion, and then ask yourself 5 whys. And don't spend too long thinking about it. The reason this part works so well for beginners is because it depends on your intuition and you just have to trust the first answer that comes. examples. Suppose I was avoiding a friend who recently got a promotion. So this is the incident. The emotion I'm feeling is jealousy. Why? Because I didn't like it. Why? Because her success made me feel like I failed. Why? Because I am not where I need to be in my life. Why? Because I don't think people support me much. Why? Because they don't like me. Why? Because I'm overweight. And bam, just like that, you reach a core space within yourself. All you have to do is ask yourself why, until you reach a core emotion about yourself and a core belief about yourself. Now, I could further ask, why does being overweight mean that I'm not worthy or that people don't like me? How does that relate? Does it even have relevance today? Because often, we are only holding on to beliefs and truths that we got from other people and their lives, and it is not even relevant to our lives today. But we have accepted them and consented to them without ever questioning if it even works for us. And this is how something very small reveals a wound that you've been carrying for years. Now let's move on to intermediate and more advanced methods. This is where you start using prompts to answer your questions. You can find the prompts online, or I've even added a lot of prompts in my videos in the past, and I will link them down so you can find them based on what you need help with. Shadow work prompts for relationships in my relationship videos, for feminine energy, and so on. Now let's get to the advanced version. And I call this advanced version because all of this mostly depends on your ability to sit still and look within, which is always hard. First, start writing dream journals. Dreams are your gateway to your unconscious self. So if you find yourself waking up right after a dream, keep a journal next to you and start writing down everything you remember from that dream. This will help you eventually see your own hidden life. And you can try to interpret these dreams yourself, or you can use a dream specialist, or I even sometimes like to use ChatGPT to help me analyze my dreams. There's also a reason why a lot of us have similar or recurring dreams. I did not even realize that until I read a book where the author mentioned that women whose creative lives are starving often have similar dreams, and turned out I and my mother were having the same dreams and we never even knew it. So clearly there's a few things that we can decode. Another way is meditation or intentional solitude, but for observation. This is where you sit still and just stay mindful. When any emotion or thoughts come, you don't start fixing them, but you stay aware of them. This will help a lot of your unconscious mind surface, and then you can journal about it later. You can also use journaling for a different kind of introspection. So take a journal and start writing down about the events where you felt triggered or out of character, out of control, or events where you suddenly found yourself getting defensive. Then go back and try to line the dots. See what's causing this emotional hijacking, what is triggering you. See if any past experiences help you connect the dots, or if you associate any of those events with shame or guilt. Journaling is great for shadow work because you always have the option to burn it, tear it, rip it. You can let everything out without the fear of judgment. You are not allowed to shame yourself for any events or the emotions they brought. That is what caused them to become a shadow in the first place. The point of shadow work is not to indulge in self-pity or get into victim mindset. So once you figure out your deepest, darkest, innermost thoughts, instead of feeling sorry for yourself or shaming yourself, know that since you've become aware of your own self, the whole of it, you can now choose to intentionally and mindfully live your life and make your choices. You can live authentically. And more often than not, when these emotions arise and you see them, they vaporize into nothing and they never even bother you again, without you having to do anything after. You can do this once a month or every alternate weeks, depending on how your emotional state feels afterwards and how long it takes you to get back to normal. It's a very intimate process, so once again, there's no need to ever rush it. Just know that sometimes the moment you see it, it never controls you again. Comment down below what's one part of you that you didn't even know you were hiding. And if you want to go deeper into your personality and how to change it, you need to watch this video next. Remember to subscribe for more no BS videos that will transform you from your very root. I do not believe in bandages for the ego. I'm here to help you heal from the very root. I will see you next week with a brand new video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!